Next we have Evolved Godzilla taking on Mega Hulk. Mega Hulk comes from the recent Marvel What If series, where Hulk basically, like, what if Hulk becomes Godzilla, essentially. And he's taking on Evolved Godzilla, who we just saw in Godzilla Kong: The New Empire. Let's get to it. So first, to recap the episode, here's what happened. Bruce Banner thought that the best way to solve his Hulk problem was to expose himself to Gamma. He thought, wow, Gamma got me into this, turned me into the Hulk, maybe it can get me out. Wrong. So, as he's transforming into the Hulk, Bruce Banner hits himself with more gamma radiation. Now, you gotta love the logic of these scientists, of these geniuses, because, well, my dude, if gamma radiation turned a human, like a puny little human, into the Incredible Hulk, what's it gonna do when it hits the Incredible Hulk? Well, it's gonna split him into two different beings. One is the Hulk on the left, and Apex, the one on the right. Apex would rapidly grow into a giant kaiju-like being, and he, well, first, I love the design, but he would immediately rain terror and thus usher in the Gamma War. He did this by creating a Gamma Beast army. He could just literally shoot them out. He could spawn them, and he would spawn thousands. A single Gamma Beast is anywhere from 40 to 60 meters tall, and he spawned thousands of them. That's insane. A single Gamma Beast posed a significant threat, and not even the Avengers could take them, much less hold a prayer against Apex. So the Avengers, Earth's mightiest heroes, had to create mechas, or, Jaegers, I think it's just amazing that Thor, the god of thunder, needed to pilot a giant mecha. I really wish we got to see the Avengers, at least the original ones, in action, but they fell. Yeah, that's right, they lost. And you can kind of see why. So here's Apex leading an army of Gamma Beasts, and eventually the new Avengers and their mechas arrive, and pulling a Voltron, they come together to form the Mighty Avenger Mecha, and the Mighty Avenger Mecha takes out quite a number of Gamma Beasts on its own before concentrating all its firepower on Apex. And Apex not only tanks all this, he unleashes a gamma-like shockwave that completely knocks the Mighty Avenger Mecha off and shuts it down. I mean, it was over before it even started. But that's when Bruce Banner appears, and he happens to be sitting inside of, well, a nuke that's been retrofitted with a gamma core. Now, he's already been exposed to tremendous amounts of gamma. I mean, it's what brought Apex on in the first place. But what's going to happen when Bruce Banner turns into the Incredible Hulk and he gets hit by another gamma bomb? Well, first, it's going to make a big explosion, and here are the Gamma Beasts being blown back, and Apex actually survives this. That's right, Apex tanks a nuclear explosion to the face, and so does Bruce, so does the Hulk. Hulk tanks it and mutates into the Mega Hulk, and I want everyone to take a look at this. Take a look at the size, take a look at the scope. That's a massive impact crater, and you might be thinking, is it really? I mean, it's just the Hulk standing in the center. As you will soon discover, this is no normal, ordinary Hulk. This is the Mega Hulk. Here's a quick little size comparison. Here's Sam Wilson, and and that big ol' eyeball belongs to the Mega Hulk. Here's another comparison here with Mega Hulk walking away into the sea, and on your left, and you can see the arrow pointing at him, is Sam Wilson again, just to give you some idea. So all this means you're looking at roughly 27 megatons, nearly twice Casso Bravo, which is what Legendary Godzilla tanked in Godzilla 2014. And yeah, this is a lowball estimate because with these calculations, they're all based on Mega Hulk and Apex being roughly 100 meters tall. So yeah, you're looking at just a huge durability feat. That's just, yeah. I think it's pretty impressive. And it just tells me that Mega Hulk, Apex, they can both walk into the Monsterverse no problem and immediately challenge Godzilla's top spot. Here's Apex on your left and Mega Hulk on the right. They're gonna clash. It's a pretty good fight. Apex actually was coming out on top, by the way. He needed Hulk needed help, so Sam operated the Mighty Avenger mech and fired what it's kind of like a rocket punch in a way, and it scores a direct hit in Apex, distracting him long enough for Mega Hulk to vaporize Apex. And again, Apex just he just survived not just survived, but tanked a multi-megaton explosion like it was nothing. Yet here's Godzilla, sorry, Godzilla. Here's Mega Hulk pulling a Godzilla and vaporizing him with his atomic beam. Okay, so now we're going to get into Godzilla, and this is going to be fun. Okay, so this is from Godzilla 2014. It's when a giant skyscraper falls on him, and, you know, rough calculations I've done puts the skyscraper in the maybe 300,000 ton range. So having a 300,000 ton skyscraper fall on you and Godzilla got up like he was fine is pretty impressive. But now the durability feat that a lot of people are more familiar with, and this is what I just briefly talked about. Godzilla getting hit by Casso Bravo, which is 15 megatons. It is a pretty damn good durability feat. Unfortunately, Mega Hulk, currently his durability feat's more impressive, but they're both pretty much in the, hey, I can laugh off a megaton nuclear warhead department. Here's another shot from Godzilla King of the Monsters in Godzilla's lair. Circled, you can barely see him, but that's weak Godzilla after surviving the oxygen destroyer. And he gets nuked. And that's him once again withstanding another nuclear weapon, which makes it, well, consistent. Oh boy, so this is something we need to talk about real quick. Legendary Godzilla fans, we've brought this up many times in the Godzilla Awakening graphic novel. Godzilla gets hit by an asteroid, which is responsible for initiating the Permian extinction event, at least in the Monsterverse. Godzilla survived this, no problem. The calculations of just how much power is here could devastate a continent, possibly an entire hemisphere. I just want to point this out and say it is an outlier. Godzilla's Awakening status as being canon has been called into question. It's been pretty much, I'd say it's been debunked at this point. And I am going to take a hard stance on this one and just say this, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not factoring this feat in. I think it's just a bit too much. And until the day that we see Godzilla Awakening once again be considered canon, I don't have any reason to accept it as a valid feat. So far though, Godzilla Dominion maintains its status as being canon, so I'm gonna include it here. We see Godzilla being able to have a global awareness, a planetary level awareness, where he can feel and communicate with all the other Titans. Now you might be wondering, why are we, this is evolved Godzilla, why am I going through like legendary Godzilla when, you know, in his base forms and so on? Well, I'll get to that when I bring up evolved Godzilla again. I'm almost there, but I'll just say that it's good to pretty much establish what legendary Godzilla is capable of before we get to his super form. And a lot of these feats are pretty noteworthy. For example, here's Godzilla powering up Kong's battle axe. Kong takes his battle axe and just smashes it into Godzilla's head. And the resulting blast is so powerful, it sends Kong hurling through the air. Kong, I think in the MonsterVerse, he's estimated to be in the 90,000 ton range. So that's pretty impressive. Real quick, let's do a comparison. Here's Kong striking Mecha Godzilla with the battle axe. All it does is create sparks. So Mecha Godzilla is, you know, he's durable enough to withstand a pissed off Kong wailing on him with his battle axe. But when the battle axe is charged by Godzilla's heat ray, oh man, that's when Mecha Godzilla, you know, he's panicking. That's when his arms and legs are just cleaved right off. Godzilla, on the other hand, he's knocked out very briefly, but he does not suffer any noticeable damage. So that's pretty, I'd say Godzilla, just base level, Godzilla is more durable, comparatively speaking, to, say, the likes of Mechagodzilla. So that's a pretty good achievement right there. Also, from Godzilla Dominion, we could see a couple things happening in this shot. First, Godzilla healed these wounds within moments. Legendary Godzilla's healing factor, his regeneration, has been kind of, well, questioned in the past, because honestly, they don't just focus on it much, and honestly, he's very rarely wounded. But here we see him wounded by Scylla, and he heals within moments. Another thing to realize is that this was in Godzilla. This took place during Godzilla Dominion, which is post Godzilla King of the Monsters, but right before Godzilla vs. Kong. Scylla was able to wound him then, but when they meet again for a rematch in Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire, Scylla, her claws can't hurt him, which means Godzilla's durability, which was already pretty godlike, has improved. Alright, this is what we've all been waiting for, right? Okay, no, we're waiting for Evolved Godzilla still, but we gotta get through this part. So this is Godzilla's signature attack, his heat beam, also colloquially known as the atomic breath, but, you know, Toho doesn't like calling it that anymore, but regardless, here's Godzilla blasting the 140,000 ton Ghidorah nearly off his feet. In fact, in a previous shot, he actually did manage to topple Ghidorah with his signature weapon. So it's not only hot, as I'll break down to you in just a second, but it also wields immense concussive force. So in Godzilla vs. Kong's opening credit, the opening credits state Godzilla's heat beam radiates 25,000 degrees Celsius and generates nearly 315 terajoules of energy, which is about 5 times Hiroshima. This information is corroborated by empirical evidence, which I am going to share in just a moment, but I do need to note Godzilla vs. Kong's opening credits are not always right, as it falsely claimed Godzilla was 164,000 tons. So it's good to be skeptical, friends. Here's a really cool shot. From hundreds of meters underwater, Godzilla's heat ray instantly blasted through an aircraft carrier that was durable enough to support Godzilla and Kong's combined mass. More on that aircraft carrier in just a second. I think this angle proves an excellent lens on scale. I mean, look at it. Most live-action Godzilla heat beams don't hold a candle to this shot. I mean, that little tiny guy there standing that you see, that's Kong. Yeah. most Godzilla live action beams, typically once they hit their target, in this case a battleship or an aircraft carrier, they usually just ignite and blow up, but they never really they never punch through or burn through the whole thing. But here legendary Godzilla's beam just blasted right through it like it wasn't even there. And oh boy. Okay, so we're gonna get to, I talked about earlier how I think Godzilla Minus One's heat beam is like one of the most powerful live action Godzilla beams, but man, this one takes the cake. It is called the Hollow Earth Driller, as it's, I guess, more commonly known. And yeah, I'm gonna go full on nerd here, man. The calculations on this beam are incredible. I know some other Godzilla fans will strongly object. They'll say, no, Heisei Godzilla has a more powerful beam, or maybe Final Wars Godzilla. Sorry, not sorry. Legendary Godzilla's feat here takes the cake. It is thousands of times more powerful than Heisei or Final War Godzilla's average two strongest beams. Here's my proof. It took Godzilla's heat beam approximately 3 minutes to reach the Earth's core, which, and this is a low ball, 1,800 miles. It could have been more. That's burning through 10 miles of solid rock per second. Already we're looking at a feat. If Godzilla just fired for a single second, already burning through 10 miles of solid rock, that is just far more impressive than anything Heisei Godzilla ever did. A low-end calculation puts this beam at generating around 850 gigawatts of energy per second, which is equivalent to 200 kilotons of energy. A high-end calculation is even more insane. This means Godzilla's beam could be generating 90 petajoules of energy per second. That is the equivalent to 21 megatons of energy, which is still a little bit less than what I estimated to be for that Gamma bomb that went off, that Mega Hulk and Apex Hulk tanked earlier. But again, this is a beam of energy wielding like 21 megatons worth of power behind it that's striking you every single second. So I think there's a massive difference here. I think this feat is it outclasses Mega Hulk's best durability feat, in my opinion. Also, there's the slight possibility that in order for it to reach Hollow Earth, Godzilla's beam may have blasted into a separate reality. Here in Kingdom Kong, a Monarch scientist does begin to, analyze the data that he has, and just based on his readings here, he thinks that there's an electrostatic membrane that separates our reality from, and before he's cut off, he was going to say from Hollow Earth. Alright, so here's a big one, and I kind of almost thought about making this an outlier, but in Godzilla vs. Kong, Godzilla had a beam war with Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla won. His proton scream scored a direct hit and visibly wounded legendary Godzilla, which is extremely rare to see, as you can see the image here. But this was taken from the Godzilla vs. Kong novel. It states, Godzilla wasn't out though. He planted his feet and unleashed the energy beam that had tunneled through the Earth's crust and mantle to Hollow Earth. But the robot thing let loose its own energy beam, a red one, meeting and overpowering Godzilla's, blasting the Titan back through multiple buildings. Like I said before at the very start, empirical evidence, especially what we see in the movie itself, the main canon, takes top priority, and anything secondary evidence like from a novel is, well, just that. I mean, you could maybe argue we didn't really see Godzilla, be blasted back through multiple buildings, but what's being stated here is that Mechagodzilla was able to match Godzilla's best beam feat, which was blasting a hole into the center of the Earth And not only that, but Godzilla survived. So as far as durability goes, I mean, if you could take that, and again, I did some calculations not too long ago. Like here, at minimum, he's taking 200 kilotons of energy per second, or 90 petajoules, 21 megatons of energy per second. So wow. Wow, indeed. Back to 2014. This is when Godzilla lifted the female Muto, who weighs about 60,000 tons. So basically, Heisei Godzilla. And Legendary was able to lift that up with one hand. So pretty strong. You might be thinking Godzilla is really strong in this picture, but obviously I'm more impressed by the aircraft carrier, who is the real Titan in this shot. Hulk should count himself lucky that he's not fighting the aircraft carrier. From Godzilla Aftershock, the Muto Prime was able to release a sonic high-pitched scream that shattered his dorsal fins. Godzilla managed to, get under the Muto Prime and unleash his atomic power. And Muto Prime, he's about 135,000 tons, just shy of King Ghidorah's 140,000 ton golden butt. And Muto Prime was sent flying by this sort of energy. Another energy feat for you. Here's from Godzilla vs. Kong, where he's feeding off of a nuclear power plant. I've said it before and I'll say it again. What makes Legendary Godzilla the most powerful live-action Godzilla yet is the fact that he is such an energy sponge. A lot of Godzillas absorb radiation. It's nothing new, but the fact is, I think Legendary Godzilla is more tactical about it. He absorbs more energy in a faster rate of time, and it makes him a threat, especially to other nuclear-powered monsters, like Mega Hulk. According to the novel, he also, after doing this, generated an EMP that affected a 30-mile radius. So, Iron Man better hope that he's not in the nearby area. I just love this shot. I had to include it. I mean, look at him. Big, beefy, strong, supercharged boy. Interestingly, after doing this, he kind of starts looking like Burning Godzilla, but instead of, emitting that orange-hued glow, he's still blue. So it's kind of like he's close to being able to control it. He just needs another upgrade. All right, everybody, we finally reached it. It's time. The whole point of this segment is to discuss Evolved Godzilla versus Mega Hulk, and Evolved Godzilla is here. Now, one big reason why I wanted to talk about Evolved Godzilla, well, besides the fact that he's quickly become one of my favorites, a big reason why is because everything we see Evolved Godzilla do, for the most part, I'm not convinced that he needed to attain a new level, a new form to do it. A lot of what he does, I kind of still think to this day that Legendary, in his earlier forms, especially what we see at the start of Godzilla Kong: The New Empire, I think he could have done, on his own. However, upon researching this for this video, for this stream, I really went all out, and I found some compelling evidence that Evolved Godzilla is, well, evolved. See for yourself. So let's start by looking at Monarch's calculations here, shall we? I'll take my cam away too. There we go. So Monarch scanners show that for Godzilla's skin, his molecular density has increased, which means enhanced durability. We don't know what level, to what degree, so I'm not going to speculate that. but you know, it's clear that he is far more durable, and I will get to a good example on that momentarily. Adaptive thermoregulation is useful against Shimo's frost breath and would have mitigated the hazardous effects of Godzilla's burning form. So this is already an upgrade. It also means that the next time Godzilla, you know, maybe he needs to fuse with Mothra again, he's going to be able, or, you know, while simultaneously absorbing the power of a nuclear explosion, he's going to be able to harness that energy and not blow up, essentially. He won't become a ticking time bomb. Speaking of Shimo's frost breath, it's a very powerful attack. It's capable of freezing atoms. She's considered a world ender. She could trigger ice ages, and yeah, as we'll see soon, well, Godzilla can actually withstand that point blank. So it's kind of like the equivalent to getting hit by Kiryu Mechagodzilla's Absolute Zero Cannon and being able to immediately recover, which evolved Godzilla is capable of doing. He's durable enough to take attacks that are cold enough to freeze atoms. Absolute Zero. And his body's thermoregulation is able to immediately melt away the ice, and he can keep fighting. This is something that a lot of you, I'm sure, are familiar with, but Godzilla's energy capacity has been magnified 20 times. I've done some figures on this. It kind of depends on just how much energy he was able to generate previously, but given how he can blast a hole to the center of the earth, and, you know, before this upgrade, but now he can hold 20 times more energy. I have no idea what to expect now. I can't wait to see it in the next movie. Evolved Godzilla is pretty powerful. I mean, at this point now, with 20 times more energy storage, he can really begin to cut loose. And it's still a wonder that he didn't accidentally blow up more than what he actually did blow up. So good on him. I thought this is a great shot with him jumping, and I did it just to show how far he can jump, but also consider the incline. Of course, he's going to move a little bit, further away from the mountain because he's jumping down from at a downward angle. So of course he's going to cover more space, but you can see the trail of the dust up there, and you could see that he's still able to jump a pretty good distance. Roughly I think he's about 150 or so meters long, so that's pretty impressive. Okay, so here's something crazy, okay? Evolved Godzilla's swimming speed is comic book levels of crazy. Within a few minutes, Godzilla swam 2,800 miles from Gibraltar to Giza. That would make Godzilla's swimming speed 33,600 knots. For a high-speed comparison, swimming 33,000 knots that's like flying at Mach 50 speeds. Obviously, I think this is an outlier. I just thought it was funny and I had to share it. I hope you liked it. It's an outlier because, well, we can plainly see in the movie that he's not actually swimming that fast. So, yeah. In a full sprint, Evolved Godzilla supported Kong's added weight, which again is estimated to be around 90,000 tons. Kong was perched on Godzilla's left side. It didn't slow Godzilla down. Estimates put Kong... Oh yeah, I already read that. Even more impressive, Godzilla jumped hundreds of meters into the air, with Kong leaping off of him soon thereafter. That's pretty impressive. I mean, if you've ever had somebody, if you had... Try to carry somebody who's around your weight on top of your shoulders for a second. It's probably not going to feel comfortable at all. Now have them try and I don't know, hold on, have your left shoulder support their entire body weight, and that's not going to feel great at all. But imagine if you were strong enough to not only support them, but you can carry them, and then you can run. You can go into a straight sprint while holding them on your left shoulder, and then they can jump off of you after you jump. It's pretty insane, actually. Here's a shot of where Godzilla catches Scar King's whiplash. Scar King's whiplash, by the way, it's made out of the vertebrae, the spine of a warbat. Warbats, while not the most durable titans around, they're still, I mean, they're a titan, so it means their bones are pretty dang durable. And of course, we've seen titan bones be used to forge super weapons before. Kong's battle axe, for example, was made from a Godzilla relative of some kind, so that's why it was able to, you know, absorb his heat beam earlier. But right after catching it in his mouth, he shattered it like it was nothing. In Godzilla vs. Kong, Godzilla slapped Kong down with his tail. He was hyper aggressive at the time, so you could tell he was trying to hurt Kong. And we've seen Godzilla slay the male Muto as far back in 2014. He's also tried to whack King Ghidorah with his tail as well, which didn't seem to do noticeable damage, but it was enough to slap Kong down. But here in Godzilla x Kong, Evolved Godzilla sent Scar King flying with his tail, which is proof that there's a chance that Godzilla's physical strength has improved. In a blink and you might miss it, after Godzilla just starts blasting at poor Shimo here, you can see residual energy just burning on her neck. Poor Shimo. More on her in a sec. I mean, we're not finished with her, but man, poor Shimo. With Jesus watching, Shimo was able to fire her frost beam into the sky. She was doing this to trigger a new ice age, a new world-ending event. More on that. I'm bringing this up. But, okay. So here we see Godzilla firing his beam, and he essentially negates Shimo's weather storm. Some people might think that this means Godzilla's beam can single-handedly, stop a world-ending storm, which means his beam is potentially world-ending. There's just no proof of that at this time. I mean, Shimo's storm didn't become a threat to the whole world just yet. I mean, claiming otherwise would be like, I don't know, going out into the woods and starting a camping fire or something, and then, thinking, oh man, this could potentially, burn down the whole forest, and you put it out and then try and brag that you put out a forest fire. It just doesn't work that way. So at the start of the battle, we see Shimo standing here out at sea, but she's standing on a huge mass of ice, and you can even see some of it beginning to break out of the water here, and it's extremely thick ice. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because I think this is Evolved Godzilla's best beam feat. Godzilla's beam from under the ice blasted. It strikes Shimo in her chest, and it hits her so hard she flips all the way over onto her back, hundreds of meters away from where she was shot. Evolved Godzilla's beam packs considerable force. It's extremely powerful. And again, while I'm not saying Godzilla couldn't have done something similar, before pre-evolved state, I mean, at the very least, he's still just as strong as ever. And this is a pretty good beam feat. Here's my verdict. For the record, Evolved Godzilla inherits legendary Goji's feats, which is why I started the way that I did. But taking Mega Hulk down won't be easy. Both Atomic Spawn Titans will be constantly absorbing the other's attacks. In terms of strength and close quarters combat, Godzilla has the edge. However, Mega Hulk's strength and durability are comparable to the heavy hitters of the Monsterverse. I think this is a close one, but I think ultimately Godzilla wins, as his strength, fighting skills, and ferocity are more impressive than Apex, who actually had Hulk on the ropes before the latter received outside help. Godzilla has the energy reserves to absorb more energy too. While both Titans will be absorbing the others' energy attacks, Godzilla will ultimately fare better than his opponent.